Hey there, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the world of innovation.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, specifically how to create those remarkable experiences that kind of stick with people.
Right, right.
And you know what? We're going way beyond just the tech world on this one.
Okay.
This applies to just about every industry out there.
Interesting.
Yeah. And to guide us on this journey, we'll be using Tom Kelley's The 10 Faces of Innovation.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah, and it outlines these 10 distinct roles that anyone can play when it comes to driving innovation.
Yeah, it's like think of it as a team sport, but for creative problem solving.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not about finding that one innovation superhero.
Right.
It's about recognizing that everyone brings different strengths to the table.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really important point to start off with.
Yeah,
But, instead of trying to cover all 10 roles today,
sure.
we're going to pull out some key takeaways from the audiobook that you can use in your own work and life. And to show you just how versatile these concepts are,
Yeah.
we're going to focus on how they can make even those traditional industries exciting.
Oh, I like that because sometimes those industries can feel a little bit stuck in the mud.
Right, exactly. So why don't we jump right in?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first concept that really stood out to me was mobility and adaptability.
Okay.
Kelley actually argues that something as simple as putting wheels on a service can disrupt a whole industry.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
Right, and he gives the example of Progressive Insurance.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think was so brilliant about their approach?
Well, I think what they did really well was that they recognized a major pain point in that whole traditional insurance model,
Yeah.
that lengthy and bureaucratic process of filing a claim.
Oh, it's the worst.
So by equipping their adjusters with mobile technology,
Mm-hmm.
they were able to settle those claims right on the spot.
Right.
And that completely transformed the customer experience.
It's like they took an industry that was known for being so slow and paper-based,
Yeah.
and they just injected the speed and efficiency into it.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about convenience either.
Right?
It was about understanding what the customer really needed and then being willing to break free from all those industry norms.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really important point about innovation. It's
Yeah.
not always about inventing something totally new.
Right.
Sometimes it's just about cleverly adapting those existing processes or services to better meet the customer needs.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Kelley also mentions how Lexus applied this concept, too.
Oh, really? How so?
Yeah, so they thought about something as routine as car maintenance.
Okay.
And they decided to send technicians to their customers' workplaces.
So convenient.
Right. They were like, why should people have to take time out of their busy schedules
Right.
to go to a dealership?
It just makes sense.
Yeah, so it's another great example of how even small changes can create that more customer-centric experience.
And I bet that gave Lexus a real competitive edge.
Absolutely. So it makes
Right.
you wonder what other services we could put on wheels, so to speak.
I know, right? The possibilities are endless.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit to another intriguing concept, the power of authentic experiences.
Love it.
Now, before online reviews were everywhere,
Yeah.
we often relied on word of mouth or those, kind of shaky restaurant reviews.
Oh, yeah. Remember those days?
So Zagat saw this opportunity and they decided to create a platform for authentic, crowdsourced restaurant reviews.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, but what really made them stand out was that they were so committed to quality and trustworthiness.
So they had some kind of system for filtering out those fake reviews?
Exactly. They didn't just collect any random opinions.
Right.
They had a process for mediating between the diner's experiences and professional editing.
That makes sense.
So people started to trust those reviews.
Yeah, because they knew it reflected real feedback.
Right, not just paid endorsements or something like that.
And I think that speaks to a fundamental human need. Just that desire for authenticity, especially in a world that's just saturated with marketing and all that.
Oh, absolutely. So what do you think is the biggest takeaway from Zagat's success?
Well, I think it shows that people crave genuine experiences
Mm-hmm.
and they value that transparency.
Absolutely. So how can businesses apply this concept of authenticity today?
I mean, there are so many ways.
Go-
Think about testimonials or user-generated content,
Oh, yeah.
or even showcasing those behind-the-scenes glimpses of your business.
Right. Anything that lets those customers' real voices shine through.
Exactly, because ultimately it's about building that trust and fostering a deeper connection with your audience.
All right. So now for a concept that I'm particularly excited about, The Power of Design in Spaces That Spark Innovation.
Ooh, I love this one.
Yeah, and Kelley uses IDEO's own work environment as the perfect example.
Of course, they're like the poster child for innovation.
Right. He describes it as this playful space that can even transform into a pub overnight.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Right. But it goes beyond just being quirky.
I bet it does.
IDEO really embodies that set designer role from the book.
Yep.
They understand that the environment plays this crucial role in encouraging creativity and collaboration.
So it's not just about aesthetics.
No, not at all. It's about how the space actually functions.
Right.
Like, for instance, they have areas designed for brainstorm sessions and collaborative work.
All right.
But they also have quieter zones for those who need to focus on individual tasks.
So they cater to different work styles and needs.
Exactly. And this intentional design extends beyond just physical spaces.
Oh, interesting.
They even establish cultural guidelines to encourage a more experimental and innovative mindset.
Oh, wow. So it's really ingrained in their entire company culture.
Absolutely. And another great example that Kelley highlights is Procter & Gamble's gym.
Their gym.
Yeah, it's their dedicated innovation space.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's specifically designed to help people break free from those traditional thinking patterns.
So it's like a space for out-of-the-box thinking.
Exactly. It has flexible layouts and specific areas for brainstorm and prototyping.
Sounds like a dream come true for any creative team.
Right. So I think this raises a really important question.
Yeah. What is it?
How can we, regardless of our industry design spaces that inspire collaboration and creative problem solving?
That's a good question.
Right. Whether it's a physical office or a virtual collaboration platform, how can we encourage that more innovative atmosphere?
Yeah, because I think we often underestimate the impact of our environment.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to a concept that might seem a little less directly related to innovation at first.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's the caregiver persona.
You caregiver.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed how some businesses just feel better to interact with?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It often comes down to that human touch.
That makes sense?
It's about going beyond those transactional interactions and creating a sense of genuine care and empathy for the customer.
I like that.
Kelley uses the example of bestsellers wine shops. And they completely transformed the experience of buying wine.
How so?
Well, they replaced all that overwhelmed jargon and complicated stuff.
Right, because wine can be so intimidating.
Exactly, and they replaced it with simple taste categories.
Oh, that's smart.
And they even provided pairing recommendations for everyday meals.
Oh, wow. So they made it accessible and enjoyable for everyone.
Exactly, and they understood that people often just want guidance and support.
Not just a giant wall of wine bottles.
Right, so it's another fantastic example of how the caregiver persona can enhance that customer experience.
Yeah, and build loyalty, too.
Absolutely, and it made me think, caregiving isn't just for those traditional service industries, is it?
No, not at all. I think it could be applied across the board.
Right, it's really about understanding your customer needs, addressing their concerns, and making them feel valued.
Yeah, like you actually care about them as a person.
Exactly, so whether it's providing personalized solutions or offering exceptional support.
Or even just taking the time to listen.
Right. There are countless ways to incorporate this caregiver approach into any business.
I love that.
All right, now for our final point in this first part, let's talk about the power of storytelling.
Oh, yes. This is a big one.
It is, and it's something that Kelley emphasizes throughout the book.
Yeah. I mean, stories are so powerful.
They really are. And, you know, it might seem surprising, but Kelley actually thinks we can learn a lot from infomercials.
Infomercials.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of crazy.
Okay, I'm listening.
But think about it. They might be cheesy sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But those late-night infomercials are masters of storytelling.
Okay, I can see that.
They know how to build tension, address doubts, and just weave these narratives that sell.
They really do pull you in.
Right, and they understand that people connect with stories on a much deeper level than just facts and figures.
Oh, absolutely.
So even though we don't necessarily want to copy their over-the-top style,
Right.
we can definitely learn from how they craft these compelling narratives.
Yeah, they resonate with their audience.
So how can we harness the power of storytelling in maybe a less dramatic way?
Good question.
Because it goes far beyond just marketing, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a powerful tool for communication, connection, inspiration.
Totally. And Kelley actually mentions how IDEO used magazine-style reports and even animated videos
Oh, wow.
to present their research findings.
So they were getting creative with it.
Yeah, they wanted to make them more engaging and impactful.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about delivering data.
Yeah.
It was about telling a story that would resonate with their clients.
Right.
And inspire action.
I love that example.
So do you have any thoughts on how we can incorporate storytelling into our work or lives?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that stories are everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through written reports or presentations or even just everyday conversations.
Absolutely.
Finding ways to incorporate storytelling can make our ideas more memorable and persuasive.
And ultimately more impactful.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up part 1 of our deep dive into the 10 faces of innovation, I want you to think about this. Which of these concepts resonated with you the most?
Yeah.
How could you apply those principles of mobility, authenticity, thoughtful design, caregiving, or storytelling to your own work or life?
Lots to think about.
We'll continue exploring these fascinating ideas in part 2,
Can't wait.
so stay tuned.
And it's amazing how adaptable these 10 faces really are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just for one specific industry,
Right.
whether you're in healthcare, finance, education, or even running a small business.
Right.
These roles can be applied to unlock innovation and make experiences better.
It's like having this versatile toolkit.
Exactly.
And you can choose whichever face or role best suits the challenge you're facing.
I like that analogy.
And talking about challenges, Kelly hears some pretty inspiring stories of organizations that have used these roles to create those truly remarkable experiences.
He does.
One that really stood out to me was IDEO's work with SSM DePaul Health Center in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. Interesting one.
They were tasked with transforming the emergency room experience. Now, you'd think innovation in an ER would be all about that cutting-edge technology, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
But this example really highlights that impact of the caregiver persona.
Oh, that's right.
IDEO recognized that even small human-centered changes could make a big difference.
Oh, sure.
Like, for instance, they created those simple maps that outline the steps of an ER visit,
Oh, smart.
which helped to reduce confusion and empower those patients.
I like that.
And get this, they also introduced baseball cards.
Baseball cards in an ER.
But instead of athletes,
Oh.
they featured photos and personal stories of the ER staff.
Oh, that's such a cool idea.
Right, so instead of interacting with these nameless, faceless medical professionals,
Yeah.
patients could connect with real people who had families, hobbies, lives outside the hospital.
It makes it more human.
Right, it created this sense of trust and familiarity in a setting that can often feel really impersonal.
Oh, for sure. ERs can be very intimidating.
Exactly, so it really shows how the caregiver approach can make even those tough environments feel more welcoming.
Absolutely.
So it got me thinking,
Yeah.
where else could this be applied?
That's a great question.
Right. Are there other high-stress industries where that human touch could make a positive impact?
Well, I think the possibilities are endless, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine applying this to a government agency
Oh, yeah.
or a financial institution or even an airline customer service line.
Right. Places where people just often feel frustrated and unheard.
Exactly. And just a little bit of empathy and personalized attention can go a long way.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that innovation doesn't always have to be some grand gesture.
Right.
Sometimes the most impactful changes are the ones that prioritize that human connection.
Agreed.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit and explore how we can actually foster a culture of innovation within an organization.
So,
Kelly highlights Bank of America and how they created a dedicated innovation and development team.
okay, makes sense.
But what's really interesting is that they would prototype their new services in actual bank branches.
Oh, so like real-world testing.
Exactly. They treated these branches as living labs.
I love that.
They brought that innovation process out of the boardroom and into the hands of their customers.
That's brilliant.
Right, they experimented with different service models, branch layouts,
Wow.
even ways to manage those perceived wait times.
Interesting.
And because they were testing these ideas with real customers,
Mhm.
they were getting that invaluable feedback and making adjustments along the way.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So it's a really powerful example of how to create a culture of experimentation.
And continuous improvement.
Right. It takes the pressure off having all the answers up front.
Ah, for sure.
And it encourages that more learn-as-you-go approach.
I like that.
So I'm curious, have you ever worked in an environment that embraced that type of experimentation?
I have actually, and it's really transformative.
Okay.
It creates this excitement and ownership
Uh-huh.
among employees
Mhm.
because they know that their ideas can actually be tested and potentially implemented.
Right.
And it also gives everyone a better understanding of customer needs by bringing them directly into the process.
It makes me think about all those businesses that are just so afraid of failure
Oh, yeah.
that they never even try anything new.
Right.
They're missing out on a huge opportunity for growth.
For sure. And for learning.
Exactly, because that fear of failure can really stifle innovation.
They can.
So creating a safe space space for experimentation where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities,
Mhm.
that's essential for a truly innovative culture.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of customer experiences, Kelley dives into something I think we can all relate to, managing those wait times.
Oh, yeah, that's always a pain point.
It is, and he calls this the doorbell effect.
Interesting.
And he draws an analogy to that immediate feedback you get when you ring a doorbell,
Right.
right away if someone's home or not.
Yeah, you do?
And he contrasts that with those frustrating experiences we often have with businesses.
Yeah.
Where you're just left wondering what's happening and when you can expect a response.
Right, like, are they ever going to get back to me?
Exactly. He gives the example of Netflix,
Okay.
which provides those regular updates on the status of DVD orders.
Oh, right.
So you're never left in the dark.
It's about keeping people informed.
Exactly. It's about transparency and communication, even for those small interactions.
Makes a difference.
It really does letting customers know where they stand, keeping them informed, providing realistic timeframes
Yeah.
that can really change how they feel about your business.
Absolutely. It's a simple concept, but you're right. It's so often overlooked.
It is, and it actually reminds me of a time when,
Oh, before you share that anecdote.
yeah.
There's another concept that I think ties in perfectly here with this whole transparency and managing expectations thing.
Okay.
Kelley talks about the importance of mediating rather than automating.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I'm all ears.
So, in today's world, it's so easy to just try to automate everything.
Yeah.
But Kelley argues that we need to be careful about what we automate.
Because some things are best left to human interaction.
I can see that.
And he uses the example of ordering coffee.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So imagine ordering coffee at a hotel using one of those door hanger forms.
Right.
Efficient, but very impersonal.
Yeah.
Now compare that to ordering at Starbucks.
Okay.
You have a conversation with the barista. You can customize your drink. You're acknowledged by name. It's just a more personal and engaging experience.
Yeah.
Even though it could easily be automated.
That's such a good point.
Right.
We often assume that technology equals progress.
Yeah.
But sometimes that human touch is what truly makes the experience better.
It's about finding that right balance, using technology to enhance, not replace human connection.
I like that.
And that applies to so many things in both work and life.
Absolutely. All right. So before we move on to our last point in this part,
Okay.
I want to circle back to the power of storytelling.
Oh, yes. Love it.
It's a theme that just keeps coming up.
It's so important.
It is, and you seem to really connect with it.
I do. I think storytelling is just such a fundamental part of how we communicate and connect as humans.
It really is. And Kelley makes this compelling argument for why it's essential for innovation.
Okay.
He says that stories build credibility, forge those emotional connections, and even provide a safe space for exploring those more controversial or uncomfortable topics.
Yeah, it's a way to approach those difficult conversations.
Right, and stories also make that complex information more accessible and engaging.
Right, they bring it to life.
They inspire action, transmit values, and even shape perspectives.
Powerful stuff.
And he even suggests looking to those infomercials for inspiration.
Oh, there he goes again with the infomercials.
I know, right? But hear me out.
I'm listening.
They are masters of storytelling. They have a very limited amount of time
Yeah, they do.
to capture your attention, build that interest, and convince you to buy their product.
Right.
And they do it through those compelling narratives, demonstrations, and testimonials. So while their style might not be right for every situation,
Yeah.
their ability to connect with an audience and drive action is undeniable.
Absolutely.
So what can we learn from them?
Well, I think it's about understanding those core elements of a good story. That relatable protagonist, the compelling conflict, and the satisfying resolution.
Right.
And those elements can be applied to any type of communication.
Exactly. Whether it's a presentation, a pitch, or even a casual conversation.
I think people often overcomplicate storytelling.
They do.
It doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing.
Kelley actually highlights the story of the George Foreman grill
Okay.
as an example of how this seemingly insignificant moment completely transformed the success of the product.
What moment?
Foreman taking a bite of that burger.
Oh, right.
It was that authenticity, seeing someone genuinely enjoying the product,
Yeah.
that resonated with viewers.
Human experience.
It wasn't about the technical features or anything.
And that's a powerful lesson for any storyteller.
It's about finding those authentic moments, those human connections,
Yeah.
and weaving them into your narrative.
I like that.
So whether it's a personal anecdote, a customer testimonial, or a behind-the-scenes look, Those moments of genuine emotion are what capture our attention and make those stories stick.
Couldn't agree more.
And don't be afraid to experiment with different mediums.
That's right.
Kelley mentions how IDEO presented their research findings on women's car buying experiences in a magazine-style report.
Interesting.
They knew that a traditional report wouldn't do their research justice.
Yeah.
So they opted for something more visually appealing and engaging.
I love it.
And it worked.
So it's about thinking outside the box, finding creative ways to bring those stories to life.
Whether it's through visuals, audio, interactive elements, or even just a well-crafted narrative.
Right.
There are so many ways to engage your audience and make your stories memorable.
Absolutely. And remember, storytelling isn't just for marketers or salespeople. It's a skill that can benefit anyone, regardless of their profession.
Totally.
Everyone has a story to tell.
So as we move on to part 3 of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want you to think about this. What's your story?
Yeah.
What are those experiences, values, and insights that you want to share with the world? And how can you use the power of storytelling to bring those ideas to life?
Lots to think about.
Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the 10 faces of innovation.
Sounds good.
And I want to pick up on something we touched on earlier, that power of storytelling in action.
Right.
Kelley highlights how IDEO uses their office tours as a brilliant example.
Okay.
So they've actually turned these tours into immersive storytelling adventures.
Instead of just those standard corporate walkthroughs.
Right. Exactly. It's a way to really showcase their work, their culture, their values in a way that's authentic and engaging.
Yeah, show, don't tell.
Right. And instead of just telling people about their process, they invite them to experience it firsthand. And I love how they use those artifacts and workspaces as storytelling prompts. It sparks these conversations and insights in a way that just feels so natural.
Yeah, it's not about following a script.
No.
It's about creating an environment where those stories can just unfold organically.
And Kelley even points out that IDEO encourages everyone to participate and lead in these tours.
Oh, wow.
It keeps things fresh and ensures that there's a diversity of perspectives.
Yeah, that's smart.
So it's a fantastic way to empower those employees, develop those storytelling skills, and foster that sense of ownership and pride.
And it keeps the stories authentic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for those of us who want to make our own company story more tangible and memorable,
Yeah.
how can we apply this concept? Do we need some fancy office or a whole team of professional storytellers?
Yeah, not at all. I think it starts with identifying those key moments, the artifacts, the spaces that really embody your story, and then using those to create a narrative that truly connects with your audience.
Right. You got to think about what makes your company unique.
Exactly.
What challenges have you overcome? What values do you stand for?
Those are the building blocks of a good story.
They really are. And it makes you realize that those storytelling opportunities are all around us.
Yeah.
It's not just about formal presentations or marketing materials.
Right.
It's about finding those little ways to weave those narratives into those everyday interactions and experiences.
I love that.
All right, so before we officially wrap up,
Okay.
Kelley leaves us with 7 compelling reasons why organizations should make storytelling a priority.
7 reasons. Okay, lay them on me.
All right, so he argues that storytelling builds credibility, unleashes powerful emotions, fosters collaboration, and helps make sense of complex information.
Yeah.
It also provides that safe space to explore those tough topics,
Right?
sway perspectives, create heroes, and ultimately provide a vocabulary for change.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. But its true stories have this incredible ability to cut through the noise,
Yeah.
capture our attention, and leave that lasting impression.
We're wired for stories.
We are, and I think it's something we often underestimate in a world that's just constantly bombarding us with information.
Agreed.
So as we conclude our exploration of the 10 faces of innovation,
What?
think about how you can embrace these faces in your own work and life.
Yeah.
Which role resonates most with you?
Good question.
How could you become a better anthropologist, experimenter, or storyteller?
Yeah. And how can you cultivate a more caring, collaborative, and innovative spirit within your team?
Absolutely. Remember, innovation isn't just about those new ideas.
Right.
It's about creating those remarkable experiences, challenging assumptions, and making a positive impact.
What's it all about?
And as we've learned from Tom Kelley,
Yeah.
storytelling can be that powerful tool to fuel innovation and connect with others in meaningful ways.
Couldn't agree more.
So go out there, embrace your inner innovator and storyteller, and let's make something amazing.